I can't believe we're doing this, but we're finally taking a look at Smite, a free-to-play MOBA made by Hi-Rez Studios that I've been playing for a decade with over 3,000 hours of playtime. This is the biggest milestone review that I can make. I always knew this day was coming, and with the announcement of Smite 2, it seems like a good time. There's a lot to go over, like the gameplay, replayability, the player count, the monetization, my 10 years of experience, and if this game is even worth playing.
I'm gonna pull his ass on your tower. Your fat ass back on right there.
For those of you who are new to MOBAs or new to Smite, Smite is a third-person MOBA where you generally play in teams of 5 in a very objective and team-based environment. You play as mythological gods working together to take down towers and enemies. Okay, it's like a third-person League of Legends for those of you who still don't get it. Except Smite's better, and this game being in third person is the first thing you notice considering this is a MOBA. You see, I'm not normally someone who plays MOBAs. The gameplay and camera angle isn't as appealing to me with games like Dota 2 or League. A game like Battle was an exception for me because of how fast-paced and action-packed it was. And Smite is kinda like that middle ground for me. It feels more like an action game of a MOBA. Of course you have to make good decisions and there's a lot to think about, but with the presentation and gameplay of Smite, it made it much easier to get into this type of game. Maybe that's the case for some of you too, but I'm sure most of you played your first MOBA with League of Legends. But another big difference that ties into the camera angle is the abilities and landing your skill shots. Even the auto attacks are skill shots. I think this is one of the most satisfying parts of the game. At the bottom of the screen you can notice my 3 abilities and my ultimate ability. These all have a cooldown and every character has their own abilities that cost mana. It's up to you to know what your abilities do and try to land them and use them properly. They all have different ranges and reasons to use them, so you want to make sure you have good placement too. You don't want to die trying to use an ability. These are the type of things that can make a player good. Landing your abilities and auto attacks consistently, learning to dodge enemy abilities and auto attacks consistently, knowing as many characters as possible so you don't get outplayed as much, knowing what to do and having good placement, building the right items, using relics at the right time, and having experience. Speaking of items, every time you pick a character and play a match, you'll have to build some items. These characters all have their own role and way of building items. At first you can have the game do this for you automatically, but everyone gets off their training wheels at some point. Every god is either magical or physical, and they build different types of items with the same goal of either getting damage or protections. If you're building protections, you'll need protection-specific items for magical and physical defense.
Damn, you did kill him, bro, that's insane.
Guardians are the type of character and role to build defense items. There's 5 roles in total. There's a hunter that specializes in auto attacks and doing lots of damage at a range. There's an assassin that does lots of damage at close range. There's a warrior that likes to do both damage and protections. Then there's my favorite, which is the mage. The mage can do a lot of ability damage from a distance. I always connected with mages trying to land abilities as much as I can while trying to stay alive. The strategy can work well with a guardian because a lot of them are ability based, but as a guardian you have to know when to take a punch. I personally enjoy playing every role and I'm one of the more diverse players you'll run into, but like I said, mage is still my favorite role and my least favorite is probably assassin. My playstyle with trying to stay alive from a distance makes me an anxious wreck with most assassins. But I do like some ability based assassins like Naja or Thor, but I'd rather play a hunter anyway. Just find out which playstyle or role works best for you. It can be really fun finding out which gods you click with and building the right items and feeling powerful in your role. And of course within your build you don't want to forget about your relics either. These are like temporary buffs that can help you out for a few seconds, like using a relic called Sprint that gives you extra movement speed, or Aegis Amulet that prevents all damage for a couple seconds. These relics have a much longer cooldown than your abilities and even your ultimate abilities, so you want to use it correctly. The last little thing you'll have to worry about down there is your consumables. You can buy potions for extra health or mana, or to buy some other useful things like wards which can spot enemies. Not to mention that there's these camps with a little bit of PvE that gives you gold, XP, and buffs. These camps and their placement could depend on which game mode you play because different game modes have different maps. There's always a handful of game modes and they can change up the experience quite a bit. You've been watching me play a bunch of different game modes and gods because I live for that variety. The gameplay is also a bunch of random clips in the last couple years, so the builds might be outdated, but what I'm saying still applies. Anyway, the simplest game mode is Arena, where you just fight and kill each other in teams of 5 in this small arena. Admittedly, I get too comfortable on this game mode nowadays, and it's the only game mode where kills directly affect the objective. But generally, the main game mode with lots of towers, long lanes, and a lot of camps is called Conquest. And here's the first controversial thing I'm gonna say. I'm not a big fan of this game mode. Alright, hear me out. I know it's the main game mode and I respect it, but I don't generally play MOBAs and don't look for that typical MOBA experience. I used to play Conquest back in the day, but I grew out of it. The games last too long for me personally, and there's a reason why I enjoyed Battle Right so much. Every other game mode is just quicker and more about the combat, which is more of my style. My most played game mode, which is a good middle ground for me, is called Joust. You play in teams of 3, which is good if you have 2 friends, and it's like Conquest with much less towers, camps, and there's only 1 lane, so it plays very differently. I haven't been playing it as much, but it's definitely an all-timer. A game mode I find myself playing now that I play so many gods is Assault. It's just one of the most casual game modes because you don't pick your god, everyone gets a random god with a chance to reroll for another god, or you can trade with a teammate.
Yo, I want to dodge this game. I really do want to dodge this game. Oh my, we got so lucky.
There's only one big lane with teams of 5 and you can't recall for items and health, so you have to know how to handle that. Nobody can pick their favorite god, so it's generally a more casual game mode. They also have a game mode called Slash, which is a mix of 2 old game modes, Clash and Siege. I was a Siege lover and Slash didn't fill that void, but I do like it as an option. It's 2 teams of 5 and 2 lanes. It's like meeting in the middle with Conquest and Joust. Oh, and I guess they have a game mode of the day, but I just ignore that. It's usually too wacky.
Oh my god.
Bro, like, I would have been so sad.
Uh-oh.
I don't even care if I die, yeah, bro. We got the Thor, that's all that matters.
I don't know if it's temporary, but they currently have Domination, which is an old game mode that they brought back with some new changes. The matchmaking isn't good on this game mode right now, which makes it hard to judge. Not to mention ranked mode for when you actually get good. Ranked can be fun when you get in the zone, but it can be a tough experience. This is where players are trying their best and are actually good, unless you're in bronze or something. But it's kinda like the Elite Four, only come here when you're ready. I first played Ranked Conquest many years ago and got placed Platinum when I shouldn't have. I even have it on my old Smite YouTube channel. Here you can look at my past ranks and see there's not much, but for some reason it doesn't show me getting Diamond about a year ago. I played Ranked Duel, which is the 1v1 game mode, and it can get really intense. I almost never play it, but you really gotta get into it when you're into it, knowing which gods to ban and how to manage by yourself. There's some real heart-pounding moments in Duel. There's also Ranked Joust, which I would sometimes play with friends, but not so much anymore. Ranked can be rewarding, but I like playing casually most of the time. It can be tricky because Smite has interesting matchmaking and sometimes I get teammates who sniff glue, so I don't know. This game is definitely better with friends, but you still can't hide from having bad teammates. I know it's partially my fault because I don't prefer ranked and I like casual game modes like Arena, but I should never have teammates or even enemies who would basically be in bronze. Like you try playing Joust with one friend looking for a random. I don't know why it seems most likely that they're gonna suck and that the enemy team is gonna be a group of 3 tryhards. It probably doesn't help that I play with a friend who's a pretty high level like me, and sometimes with a friend who's about level 80, which isn't the highest, but he's not bad, so I should never see anyone with a score like 4 kills and 20 deaths, and if I do, they're probably on my team. And you can bet that person is probably toxic. Well, I'm sure it's not as bad as League, but the community can be a hit or miss. It's a MOBA, so it's usually a miss. With the matchmaking, it can be a pretty deadly combo with a bad player, a toxic player, or a toxic bad player.
Ha! Dylan, did you see that? Who's next?
That's why it's probably best to stick with the quick chat or just to have a few buddies to play with. The quick chat is a really cool way of communicating with your team. You can type something like VVY for yes or VVN for no, and more specific things like gank or I'm on it. You just better have a voice pack.
Oh, nice, man.
Mattman came for the cleanup!
Mattman.
Oh my god, Mattman, thank god.
I was actually wrong in my Paladins review thinking that that game didn't have this quick chat system, but it's a very good system that lots of players know very well considering that you don't verbally communicate with randoms. And especially if you play solo, which I rarely do nowadays, only if there's an event, but definitely use the quick chat if you play by yourself. The matchmaking seems a little better when I play solo, which would make sense.
Big brain? Oh my god, you landed at his feet.
And the queue times are generally good. You don't have to wait too long to get into a match, and there's some occasions where it can take a bit, but I don't think it's because this is a dead game or anything. The player count for Smite is looking pretty solid. As you can see, we have thousands of consistent players for a decade with a peak of 31,169 players. I've never had to worry about this game dying. unlike Battlerite, but Smite has been one of the more popular MOBAs for a long time. If I made a game, these are the kind of consistent numbers I would want. Like, you don't have to be the first or the biggest MOBA like League or Dota 2. If you're consistently in the top 5 or top 10 for your genre, then hey, you're still winning. I wonder how these numbers will do after Smite 2 comes out. Hopefully it's not like Payday 3 and Payday 2, but I still can't even believe that I'm saying Smite 2. It doesn't sound real after playing regular Smite for a decade. At the moment, we've seen a little bit of gameplay, and I don't really get excited or hyped until I'm playing the game and it's good, but I am very interested to see what happens and how Smite 2 affects all of Smite. The graphics do look better with a new engine. Hopefully it's the start of a good new chapter for Smite. I know there's going to be some crossover between Smite 1 and Smite 2, and I know some people have mixed opinions with Smite 2, but before we get into that, there's still some things with Smite 1 that need to be addressed. One of the biggest ones has to be the monetization problem. What's the problem? It's overly monetized. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't pay to win or anything, so it's nothing like that. This is just coming from someone who thinks Smite has some of the best skins in all of gaming, and there's so many skins. I have a cool skin for damn near every god. I've been invested in this game for a decade and have seen the changes. For example, I think my biggest problem is that Smite usually has multiple limited time events going on, and they used to be so much cooler, like the Smite Adventures with unique game modes like Smite basically being a mini MMO with quests, and other groundbreaking shit like Mario Kart. I miss Smite Kart so much. So yeah, they used to do dope shit like that. You want to know what half of the events are now? You buy skins or spend money. Doesn't that sound way more fun than Smite Kart? A lot of these so-called events are just buying skins to progress. So there's the free currency called Favor, and you get useful stuff like gods and cosmetics, but you don't get nearly as much stuff as gems. Unfortunately, you get the most out of this game if you spend money when it comes to unlocking cool stuff. There are little options like watching ads and other small events to get some stuff, but it doesn't compare if you just spend money. I just try to buy the battle passes nowadays. It's a good bang for your buck. I've honestly spent way too much money on this game over the years. I actually have old videos and would do shopping sprees where I bought gems and skins. I have to go back and do some research to see how much money I spent. Oh shit. Some of you are gonna be shocked, and some of you are gonna call me broken to spend more money, or I'm sure some of you are gonna make fun of me, but I've spent about $430 on Smite. This has to be the most I've ever spent on one game. Except maybe this one other card game I used to play, but goddamn. I had to check my old Smite videos where I went on those old shopping sprees to check. It takes me back, and I wish I wanted to support Smite the way I did back then. I also didn't really know the value of $1. But if you think about all the time I spent on this game, it's not so bad. I make YouTube videos, so that justifies it too, right? I swear I'm not addicted. Think of the type of money a gambling addict or an alcoholic spends in 10 years. I'm not judging, I'm just saying that I'm only invested in my Smite profile and that I buy gems on sale. I'm a smart addict. And one thing you won't catch me spending money on is these VTuber hentai skins. I'm sure Smite makes a bag off of them, but it's shit like this that's killing the vibe of the game. I don't want to see a Nuwa, Scotty, Mulan, Nemesis, and Persephone and think I'm playing Hentai Simulator. I don't know if that part of the community will hate on me, but I'm just saying. Because this game has so much cooler crossovers like Transformers, Avatar, and Nickelodeon. Goddamn, Hi-Rez must have some connections. They even have cool events for things that I don't personally enjoy but respect, like Slipknot and RuneScape. Skins and monetization have had a big part of Smite for a long time, given that it's a free game and a lot of it is awesome. I just wish they'd tone it down. The old Smite was more fun and had a different feel to it before it got overly monetized. But something I might miss even more about old Smite is the health and amount of damage you would do. I've been trying to avoid talking about current meta things because it might change, but me and my friends haven't been enjoying Smite as much lately because of it. As a mostly mage player, it just doesn't feel as good having to land your full kit multiple times to get a kill. I just prefer when a mage combo would do half of your health to killing you. Warriors and tanks are competing in damage against mages and ADCs this season. Like, I'll fuck shit up as a warrior doing more damage than my whole team, but I don't want to get into it. I don't know if I'm in the minority on that one. I see what they were going for with the extra health, it's just not for me. I'm sure there's some other criticisms I'm forgetting to mention because it's a MOBA and there's always so many, right? But I'd be lying if there wasn't a lot of things Smite does right to reel me back in, and one of the biggest ones is progression. More specifically, my profile stats and masteries. There's a lot to see when you first look at my profile. There's a lot of history here. You can see my most played gods, roles, and game modes, as well as the amount of gods, skins, ward skins, and icons that I have. And shout out to the Waz clan. You can stop and pause if you want to see all my accolades. I'm mostly proud of the godlikes, and I guess having a few pentakills is cool, but having 777 siege matches is good luck. Not to mention interesting stuff like having 35,000 player kills and 500,000 minion kills. There's these in-game achievements that I usually don't care about, except some of them give you cool stuff. There's also the Steam achievements, and I'd say I have a pretty good amount. But now, here's the juicy part. My pride and joy, all of my worshiper. I'll go slowly so you can take it all in, but this is where all of those thousands of hours shows itself. Getting diamond on all of these gods. I told you I was very diverse. One of my major goals in Smite for a decade now has been mastering and getting as many diamond gods as I can, and I'd say I'm staying true to that goal. I have almost every mage diamond and almost every god that I want diamond, but I'm sure some of you will notice that I didn't have any stars. Yeah, I know, I've been tunnel visioned on getting diamonds so much that I didn't get any stars on my favorite gods yet, but I know I'll be there soon. I'm sure you can tell that I get real excited when it's a double worshiper event. And don't get it twisted, if you have too many stars, that's probably a bad thing. You can be so good that you might need some friends or some sunlight, or you might actually suck because you know how to play that god more than the actual game. I respect stars, but up until a certain point, my friends have a good amount of stars. And sorry if your favorite god was near the bottom, but at least I mastered everyone. But just look at all those diamond and mastered gods. I'm so close to getting that final reward. Even with all this playtime, there's still some goals. So I'm sure you can see why this game is very replayable with the unique, fun, action-packed MOBA gameplay and the long-term progression. Like, my Smite account has to be my most valued and sentimental account in all of gaming because of the time and care I put into it. If you actually look on Steam, it doesn't say that I have 3,000 hours on Smite right now because I used to play back before Smite was on Steam. Anyone remember when Hi-Rez had their own launcher for Smite? That was the good old days. And I'm sure some of you won't believe me, so look up my account on SmiteGuru. It says I have 2,000 hours in-game. That doesn't include being on the home screen or when you're picking your god, so kinda like your combat record in Call of Duty, I have way more playtime than what it shows. Like, I know I have at least 500 hours before playing Smite on Steam. I actually recently discovered that I started playing Smite in Season 1. I always thought I started in Season 2. Apparently I made a Smite 1-year anniversary video and the description says I've been playing since September 2014. I believe that's the year Smite came out, but it was in beta before that. That's when I wish I played. The OG days. The old Smite seemed more medieval and genuine of a game. I still appreciate it for what it is, but man, something was different in the air back then. I wish there was a way to play it like old Minecraft versions. I definitely have this personal connection with Smite that I'm sure a lot of you have. And not to make it sound like lovey-dovey bullshit because it's a very love-hate relationship. Smite and MOBAs can be the definition of that, but hey, that's how it can be with competitive multiplayer games. I say I try to keep it casual, but Smite is the type of game we all try at, but there's definitely levels to it.
Matt.
Yeah, that's funny. You're like, should I go in the jug?
I think you made a good decision, Matt. They gave up.
Surrendered.
Matt, why would you do that?
Like, I won't use the best god over and over with the best build just to win. I want to use whoever I want to use and do my best doing it. Nothing too crazy. We all have our off games, but I just try to be above average. I think I'm pretty good, but nothing crazy. I have my moments. Like, I'm sweaty compared to a noob, but I suck compared to a diamond or master player, which is good enough for me. I'm not trying to be a grandmaster. I want to enjoy life.
Wow, she got out, but that was really what.
I'm almost done with my Smite goals overall, but there's still a lot more to play. It's crazy how much Smite has been a part of my life. Like, I have videos from a decade ago on this channel. It hits hard looking back and the memories coming back to me. I mean, just look at my old Smite account. I've made a shit ton of progress. Those videos just take me back, and it's funny hearing me mispronounce so many god names. I still do it now, but I either mispronounce a god's name because I don't care, or because it's funny. And I also still have the same keybinds as back then because it felt more natural. It's so many little things that make Smite feel more personal and nostalgic. The fact that I've been enjoying Anubis for a decade now and that I have more playtime on one god compared to many other games that I've played, it's just interesting to think about. He's the most classic god to me. I've had my breaks with Smite with some ups and downs, but I don't think I'm gonna step away from this game anytime soon. It's not what it used to be, you know, people don't jump party like they used to, but it's still Smite. It's still that third-person MOBA with badass gods and a cool theme with epic music. Like, I'll always enjoy those epic moments when me and my friends are communicating with things getting intense and sometimes impressing each other, and the real beauty of a MOBA all comes together. I'm not sure if it's better than League or Dota 2, but Smite is its own unique flavor of a MOBA game. If it isn't the best MOBA, then it's the best alternative MOBA. Or at least to me.
Man, I see the dream, I'm here for it.
And something that I don't care about that I'm sure some of you do that can make a competitive game more interesting is esports. I think it's cool that Smite is involved with all that, but it's just not for me. I used to care about some pro players, but even as someone who's passionate about gaming, I've never been into esports but can respect some parts of it. Not to mention that this MOBA is on consoles, which you don't see every day. I think that's pretty cool, even though I much prefer PC for this type of game, but crossplay and cross progression is always appreciated. And again, the gameplay is a bunch of clips from the last couple years. This video still took a lot of time and effort. I definitely didn't expect it to be this long, so I'd appreciate a like. And I can't believe I finally made this video on Smite. It's something I was anticipating for a long time, and it feels good to finally get it out there, and I think I mostly said everything I wanted to say. There's a lot to talk about, so I'm sure I missed something. Even with as much as I said, I wouldn't mind returning to certain topics and making other videos on Smite if that's what you guys want. It's literally been almost a decade since I've made a Smite video, and now look at me. My past self would be very proud. Like, I had to give Smite some justice with this big ass video. I've been reviewing some of my most important games considering I reviewed Pokemon not too long ago, but now I'm interested to see when I get to review Smite 2. But that's where we're gonna leave it off with the original Smite 1. The new heavyweight champion dethroning Balloons Tower Defense 6 as the new #1 milestone review at 3,000 hours.
Hit me, baby. Alright, let's go, girl. That's fucking lit.
Thank you guys for joining me on this journey and listening to what I had to say. It seriously means a lot. I know I had a lot to say and don't know if I said it the best, but to answer the question that took me 3,000 hours and 10 years to answer, yes, Smite is still worth playing. Peace.
No. Oh no, it's happening. Oh my, oh my fucking god. You're the only one there. That's the most beautiful thing ever. Oh my god.